And these protests are having a ripple effect even here in southern Nevada, not necessarily on the streets as much, but inside the courthouse.
Now, 2 days ago, a public defender refused to remove a Black Lives Matter pin from her blouse in court. Now, the case she was working on had nothing to do with race, but she argued that the pin was her First Amendment right.
Our Cherie Johnson was in court today when that attorney had to appear before a judge. Cherie, what happened?
Well, Christiane and Paul, ultimately, that public defender, Erica Ballou, removed this 1.5-inch pin from her dress, but not before 2 hours worth of discussion with the judge, surrounded by dozens of her colleagues.
You advocate for reform where you believe it's needed. You advocate on behalf of social injustice, just like as you're doing here. But it has to be done when and where it's appropriate. The right to do that isn't absolute.
Clark County District Court Judge Douglas Herndon says he's all about respect, but says wearing this Black Lives Matter button in his courtroom demonstrated what he called political speech. 2 days ago, when asked to remove this button in court, attorney Erica Ballou refused, but Thursday she complied.
Your Honor, I don't think we're going to need to take a break. I'm taking off the button. I will not wear it in this courtroom.
Thank you.
But Ballou's stance sent shockwaves through the Clark County Public Defender's Office. Of 110 colleagues, about 30 stood in support in court, refusing to remove their pin even after Ballou took hers off.
What's happening in that courtroom is not a court that's trying to keep things fair. It's a court that's using a robe and a bench to make his own political point.
At least 2 of Ballou's colleagues says they're not anti-anything but pro-change in the justice system.
African Americans are disproportionately prosecuted. They're sentenced more harshly. I believe that they are treated differently, and I believe that is a result directly of institutional racism that has poisoned the criminal justice system.
And Clark County's courts released a statement. It reads in part, ultimately, whether or not expressive conduct in the courtroom setting is constitutionally protected or an infringement on the court's duty to impartially preside is a matter that each judge must decide. And coming up tonight, when you join us on a special edition of 8 News Now at 8 p.m., why this stance is personal for one attorney who sued the Metropolitan Police Department in a case of mistaken identity. Christiane?
Well, Cherie, as media, we can only show what our camera records, but I heard there was also some fireworks off camera. What happened?
I mean, the real story really happened off camera, Christiane. One public defender was so upset she literally could not talk from crying. She told me she was shocked to even have this conversation in a place that she practices law every day.
Thank you, Cherie.